Hey there, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're probably into cryptids and monsters. Well, if you have a creative spark, you can always join us in our first ever Supernatural Selection zine project. For 2024, we are doing cryptid encounters, where you can draw or write a encounter with a cryptid of your choice, and we'll put it in the zine. The current submission window is from early January to late June. If you're interested in finding out more, you can always go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/zines. That is Z-I-N-E-S. Now back to the show.
Fun stuff. This is like the closest we've come to like being borderline true crime. Which, that's fine. I just don't want to be like, oh, they're just like last podcast.
Yeah, and I mean, like, true crime has its place, and we have to have that, like, supernatural connection.
Yeah,
so.
it's gotta be like a goblin murders a hooker or something.
The correct term is sex worker.
Okay, sorry, I'm old guard. Okay,
no, I get you.
A goblin kills a sex worker.
Lady of the night.
I don't know.
No, see, the trauma version of that story is a goblin kills a hooker. But we're doing the elevated postmodern horror version of it.
Right, I got you. The one, yes. All right, perfect. Hello, and welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin, and with me this week are Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how are you doing?
Happy birthday.
It is Mike's birthday, everybody.
Oh, shit. And my birthday's in a couple days. Birthday bros.
Hot damn, boys.
And
shit.
A goblin, a hooker, and a priest walk into a bar.
Sounds hot.
That just sounds like another toxic Avenger film.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like trauma.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you.
Oh, God. I'm trying to think of a HHH, but I can't think of an H with a priest. And we've got Mr. David Davis. David, how are you today?
Happy birthday in a couple days.
Yeah, I got several months.
Yep. So,
but
I'm doing
early
okay.
birthday.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I know that all I have planned is I'm going to go see Godzilla -1 color. So
dang it, I keep forgetting to do that.
Man, I forgot they were doing the black and white version.
I just want to see the regular version.
It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, go see the black and white version if you can.
I prefer to see the color version first.
Godzilla's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's a terrible reference.
Oh, also, this is more discussion for...
distraction hole. Sorry. So let's get things started with housekeeping. David, tell us about some housekeeping stuff.
Well, shit. Okay, thank you for putting me on the spot.
Of course, that's my job.
The zine is still taking submissions. We're only like 1 month down. We've got until June 30th taking illustrations and writing samples. I know a couple people who are going to be sending some stuff in, like people that I know personally. I've just been drawing stuff. I don't know if you've been... We have a Tumblr. If you go to the website and click on our blog link, it'll take you to our Tumblr. I've been posting some of my drawings. Those drawings are also... So it's the black and white versions, but if you go to our Patreon, you get the color trading card versions.
Which will be posted very soon, now that I've been reminded.
Yeah, well, it's fun, because I've been doing a lot of yokai research for an upcoming episode, and I've just been drawing them. So
that's fun.
Yeah, please send in illustrations and stories about cryptids. All the information is available at supernatpod.rocks/zines.
That's ZINES, if you don't know how to spell it nor what a zine is. Mm-hmm. And also, YouTube. Our YouTube channel is updating again after the holidays. It is... Since I got a new computer, it's very easy to render the videos. The render time's gone from 3 hours to 15 minutes per video, so...
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a whole lot easier to do now. So, and we're starting to pick up a little steam there. We're instead of getting like 2 to 4 views, we're getting like, 11 to 20 something. And the Dead Internet Theory 2's actually got like 100-something views. So, woo!
Hell yeah.
I mean,
yeah. We're slowly forging our way onto YouTube.
Yeah, look out, PewDiePie. Is he still relevant? Did anybody get that joke? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I got it. I don't know. I think Mr. Beast might be...
Okay, yeah, look out, Mr. Beast. We're going to throw a goblin at you.
Look out, Mr. Skibbity Toilet.
Oh, God. Fuck.
Have you seen that TikTok of the kid doing the Skibbity Toilet song?
I haven't seen anything about Skibbity Toilet, so except for
I know it exists.
Pictures.
That's all I've seen.
Sticking out your giat for the Rizzler. You're so skibbity. You're so Phantom Tax.
I want to flush your head down the toilet.
Yeah, I'm getting very
Gen Alpha's
flushable
fun.
head vibes.
I'm enjoying. It reminds me of that number one victory royale. That Fortnite song.
I have no idea what that is.
It's just these kids like singing off key with like hyper specific meme references to Fortnite and. Yeah.
I'm just going to re-emphasize, I am 47 years old, and, like, all of this is frightening to me.
The only reason I know any of this is because I watch, like, Good Mythical Morning.
Okay,
and they do that as episodes where it's like, okay, here's a trending thing. Can you figure out what it is? Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin, I'm also 47. It's that brief window when I catch up to you.
Yep. It's that brief little period.
I turned 37 in a couple of days, so I'm, like, 10 years younger than you. What the fuck?
Wow. Well, at least when we're dead, you can keep doing the podcast.
For
exactly, for another 10 years.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I will commit seppuku.
There you go.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Man, we were actually talking about... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, just so I have that, like, extra 10 years on you, yes.
Yes. So, guys, this week, we're going to be talking about a new subject. We're going to be talking about cults.
Like the Cult, like the band?
Or the hit film studio Troma that creates great movies like Class of Nukem High and Class of Nukem High 2 Subhuman Meltdown.
No, we're going to be talking about Rock and Roll High School. No, we actually need to talk about that on Distraction Hole next time because I fucking love how terrible that movie is.
So good.
So we could have picked any number of cults to talk about.
There's a lot of them.
There are.
But a lot of people like starting cults.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, I want to start a cult.
All of us have wanted to start a cult. But I thought it would be fun to move beyond your typical Heaven's Gate and People's Temple / Jim Jones stuff and talk about some cults that were either new to me or that I didn't know were cults.
Or in my case, completely local.
Yeah, you and your homegrown weird-ass city...
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to cite my sources as best I can in each section about this. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a section I call Ramtha 1/2. This first one I learned about from one of our managers at work, actually. You see, his wife had a very good friend a long time ago that got into this new religion and just straight up sold off everything and moved off to Washington State to be closer to the movement's leader.
Like, I feel like everyone has someone they know who was in a cult at some point. Like, and if you consider Mormonism a point, you end up dating them.
Yeah.
So
and then there's Discordianism. So yeah.
Yeah. We all have our little cult ties.
Yep.
I don't know anybody that I knowingly knew they were in a cult. I mean, there's probably someone out there that just doesn't talk about it. But
sure, but we're going to talk about a cult thing later, you and I, Mike, or what I see as a cult thing.
Okay, sure.
So that friend invited our manager's wife to come up and visit, and she did. And she came back with stories about brainwashing, her friend just being gone, and she had a copy of the movement's book. And our manager let me borrow this book, and I was going to use it as a source. I couldn't get past 3 fucking pages. It was so goddamn just balls to the wall insanity.
Could you imagine the power of a cult that had like professional writers?
It's called Scientology, sir.
Oh, well,
Look,
I debate the merits of L. Ron Hubbard's writing. But.
Let's not shit on that. I know people that legitimately like his stuff.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Anyway, that group is called Ramtha's School of Enlightenment. And this thing is so a fucking cult. Now, my sources for this one are the ancient spirit that settled in small-town Washington from Seattle Met. Ramtha Riled from the Southern Poverty Law Center, so that should tell you everything you need to know about Ramtha. And the Ramtha School of Enlightenment Wikipedia page and the Jay-Z Knight Wikipedia page.
Okay.
Because I needed some solid facts besides just articles. So, our story begins with Judith Darlene Knight, who was born March 16th, 1946 in Roswell, New Mexico.
Shut the fuck up.
Savor the irony that she was born exactly 1 year before the fucking crash.
Shut the fuck up.
I know. So...
I think there might be a tie there, but, you know, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
You grow up with the stories around your place, you know, it affects you.
Yeah, we need to talk about Roswell eventually, because there's some debatability about whether it was talked about. But so, in 1977, an entity called Ramtha appeared to this former rodeo queen and TV salesperson in her kitchen, saying he was going to, quote, help her over the ditch. Now, Ramtha, as he appeared, is described as a 7-foot-tall golden god with a blue aura. Now, David, does this sound like an Indigo Child to you?
Like, maybe, or maybe it's Dennis Reynolds from Always Sunny.
Ah.
Also, I read that as, like, there was a TV salesman there, too, so I had a whole question about what did the TV salesperson think about the 7-foot god person showing up in a kitchen?
Oh, that would be hilarious. Ma'am, I'm just trying to sell you a Zenith. What's going on here? So, after this, she began to actually channel Ramtha, which channeling, of course, is a spirit taking over your body. And she began to write his story and his teachings. Now, being the 1970s, this shit hit hard, and she made appearances on all sorts of talk shows, including Merv Griffin. Yes, the guy that created Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Celebrities like Linda Evans, Priyani, Selma Hayek, and Shirley MacLaine have all had positive things to say about Ramtha. In fact, MacLaine went so far as to say in a past life she was Ramtha's brother, but we're talking about Shirley MacLaine, and she has said a lot of things.
Now, is this any different than having John Travolta or Tom Cruise on a late-night talk show, really?
A little bit, yes, because they're promoting a movie and low-key pushing Scientology. She's there because a god showed up in her kitchen.
Okay, that's fair. Also, this reminds me, you've heard of hot yoga, right?
I know we have some hot yoga. Mike, don't we have some hot yoga places around town?
Oh, yeah, there's Hot Works and stuff like that. There's some, around.
Yeah, several of them.
So in LA, there was this hot yoga movement. I think Robert Evans, every episode we mention Robert Evans doing a podcast episode about it. But there is this hot yoga cult that's like huge in Hollywood, bunch of celebrities attached to it and that sort of thing. But yeah, like a lot of cults in Hollywood, a lot of cults in California specifically.
Well, yeah, because America's just trying to push them out, and they get to the ocean and they just don't have the guts to drown them.
Oh,
but hey, they're cults. Fuck them. So let's talk about Ramtha himself before we move on to his School of Enlightenment. I'm going to quote the Wikipedia page here for a concise description. So, quote, according to Knight, Ramtha was a Lemurian warrior who fought the Atlanteans over 35,000 years ago. Knight claims Ramtha speaks of leading an army over 2.5 million strong, more than twice the estimated world population at about 30,000 BC, for 63 years and conquering 3/4 of the world, which was allegedly going through cataclysmic geological changes. According to Knight, Ramtha led the army for 10 years until he was betrayed and almost killed.
So they can explain the depopulation as battlefield casualties then, but also, like, led an army of 2.5 million strong for 63 years, and then led the army for 10 years until he was betrayed. So which one is it?
You see the problems inherent here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And after we're done with these numbers, I want to throw this over to Mike. So, now Mike, back to the quote, Knight maintains Ramtha spent the next 7 years in isolation, recovering and observing nature, the seasons, his army making homes and families, and many other things. She says he later mastered many skills, including foresight and out-of-body experiences, until he led his army to the Indus River, while in his late 50s, after having led his army for 63 years. According to Knight, Ramtha taught his soldiers everything he knew for 120 days. Then he bade them farewell, rose into the air, and in a bright flash of light he ascended before them.
I must go now. My home planet needs me.
Okay, Poochie.
Also, this sounds like a fucking word problem.
It does. How many apples does Ramtha have left? So, continuing the quote, Knight says that he made a promise to his army. He would come back to teach them everything he had learned. J.Z. Knight says that in 1977, Ramtha appeared before her and told her he had come to help her over the ditch. J.Z. Knight claims to have become his first student of what she calls the great work.
Now, you keep mentioning this ditch. Was it an actual ditch, or was it just like a clumsy metaphor?
You know what? I think it's a metaphor, but it would be hilarious if it was literal.
The metaphorical, literal ditch. I hear there's witches in them ditches.
Oh, that's okay. We're going to slam in the back of my Dragula.
Damn it, I was about to make a Dragula reference.
You did, and I finished it.
You could dig through the ditches and burn through the witches that slam.
Yes.
In the back of my Dragula.
In the back of my Dragula.
It's pretty good. So, quick side note, though, that she says he ascended to another plane of existence, I read, and met Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha, 30,000 years before they existed. So, let's take a minute and discuss the math here. He led the army for 63 years and 10 years, and led his people to the Indus Valley in his 50s after having led the army for 63 years. Now, Mike.
Yeah?
Being our scientician.
Okay.
I
don't think that's a real word, but...
How does that... Yeah, but you're not a scientist. How does that math line up for you?
Let me see, because that does not add up, mon frere.
That dog don't hunt Monsignor?
Repeat it again slowly so I can,
Okay. Led the army for 63 years and also 10 years, not one after the other now.
Yeah.
It was one or the other the same. Yeah. And
non-concurrently.
Yes. Well, possibly concurrently. And led his people to the Indus Valley in his 50s after leading the army for 63 years.
Wait, yeah, no, unless he started leading the army at -10 or something
or
like
13,
that.
Yeah.
Now,
again, celebrities bought this in the 70s.
Well, maybe he's a Benjamin Button.
Oh, so you think he started as an old man, became a baby, and then kept going?
But he has like a bounce back period, like where, he hits that, fetal stage and just starts going normally again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he had to have that, that's why he did the long stint first and then another 10 years, because that middle part was the rebounding while he's growing back up. And went to the fetal, to the baby can't talk stage, the fetus stage, and bouncing back up until, he could lead the army again.
Now I'm picturing someone holding a fetus with like a little Roman helmet and a gladius screaming, "Follow me, men, to victory!"
That just makes me want to, do a story with someone that just said they're immortal, but that's how they do. They age to their old, and then they die, and then they go reverse, and then, just back and forth forever.
I'd probably read a story like that in Analog somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yep.
it's not a new idea.
Yeah.
So, Judith eventually... Hey, remember this story? So, Judith eventually changed her name to Judith Zebra for some reason.
Just like the pins.
And took the name of one of her husbands and became Jay-Z Knight. So
Wait a
if you ever
minute.
wonder what Jay-Z stands for, it is Judith Zebra.
You mean like the musician?
What?
Jay-Z.
Oh, no. The letter J and
I know,
the letter
but
Z.
Jay-Z.
I know, but his is spelled out.
Yeah, but still Jay-Z.
I got it. And who knows, maybe he got that from there. That would be hilarious. So, Jay-Z spent the next 10 years...
I can't not hear it now.
Okay, Mrs. Knight.
You don't have to change it. I'm just gonna quietly to myself think you're talking about Jay-Z every time.
You know what? That kind of makes it a better story.
Yeah.
So she spent the next 10 years spreading the teachings of Ramtha in classes all over the world.
And now, are we sure it was 10 years or was it 63 years?
Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe it was 63 years crammed into 10. So, here's a question. What exactly are the teachings of Ramtha? Well, I found them. First is the statement, "You are God."
Okay.
Second, the directive to make known the unknown.
What, like the smell of your poop? I don't
Like
know.
Epstein, I guess. I don't know. 3, the concept that consciousness and energy create the nature of reality.
Maybe virtual reality.
And lastly, the challenge to conquer yourself.
Sexually?
I guess.
edging?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do it all the time. So
Oh, God damn it.
now, you'll notice this dives into... I'm sorry. That was a joke. You'll notice this dives into both Eastern religions and the New Age mindset.
Are
And
there
there-
crystals?
I don't know. They never mention crystals. But there's not a lot original to the actual concepts and beliefs here, except maybe the consciousness and energy thing.
Well, it's just like crunchy granola enough to land people and provide a framework that they can use to like justify or explain positive and negative changes to their life after they join.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I'd say a good cult, and I say good cult with like big air quotes here. I'm not like saying, I'm saying successful, or at least, ones that can draw in the marks cults.
Right.
They'll pilfer a lot from other things because,
yeah.
it's borrowing credibility.
And you don't have to think
And
much.
you don't have to, and also I was going to say these people usually are very like persuasive
And they're
personable,
grifters.
but they are not original. They do not have original thoughts to themselves.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like this cult here, like based on those teachings, it sounds like every other cult,
doesn't it, though?
Ever.
Yeah. So, in 1987 or 88, I've come up back with both years when I did searches for this. Jay-Z, sorry, Mike, Jay-Z sets up Ramtha School for Enlightenment outside of Olympia, Washington.
Pimp your cult.
Yeah. Starting sessions at the school, like the early sessions, cost about $450 each, and the whole course lasts for 6 weeks.
Wow, in the late 80s, 450. That's, about
That's
a
a lot.
grand or so.
Yeah.
Maybe even $1,500.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we need to start a cult. We're missing out on some decent money here.
You
No
are not
shit.
wrong, man. We have been saying we need a good grift. Not just the Patreon.
We're just too nice to grift.
We kind of are. So, until entering semi-retirement, Jay-Z, as Ramtha, would hold classes that would last up to 16 fucking hours, speaking in a fake accent that sounds like the British Raj from Temple of Doom. I am dead serious. Look it up.
You say that, but I don't want to look it up.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh, Christ. She sounds like an early 1900s Indian man with a British accent.
She sounds like Mike Myers in The Love Guru.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, during the sessions, no one can leave. And
Wow.
yeah.
For like 16 hours.
Up to...
That's a lot of pee and pooping that you're not doing.
Oh, and it gets worse. Everyone has to play a religious drinking game, where when Ramtha drinks red wine, you fucking drink red wine.
Wow, I bet Ramtha has a hell of a tolerance.
I swear to God. Now,
everyone's passed out and puking and pooping and pissing everywhere. This is getting a very scatological episode. I'm sorry, folks.
It sounds like a daycare with no one looking over the children. So, along one wall of this giant room is a row of translators for half a dozen or more languages at least, and a sound booth set up to record every single class for sale later.
So two things. Number one, this sounds like they're just like recording the WrestleMania broadcast, because you have like all the different commentators speaking the different languages. Fascinating. But also, like, are the recording people like drinking too?
And the translators.
If I were, I'd have to be.
No kidding.
I would have to be drunk off my ass to put up with this shit.
They're saying what? Oh God, I'm drinking. Oh.
Yeah. So here's a question. Another question. What do you learn in the classes? Well, here's a quote from the Southern Poverty Law Center, and in her quotes, I'm going to be doing the, well, what I done heard voice.
Okay.
I know she's supposed to sound like I said earlier, but I'm going to do a trailer park voice.
So
Mike?
This is our first, like, excerpts from the SPLC?
It is.
Wow.
Because it's the first time we've covered something this fucked.
It's something that,
Real world fucked. So, quote, "Fuck God's chosen people. I think they've earned enough cash to have paid their way out of the goddamn gas chambers by now," she says as members of the audience snicker. There are also titters when she declares Mexicans, quote, "breed like rabbits" and are, quote, "poison."
Ugh.
That all gay men were once Catholic priests and that organic farmers have questionable hygiene.
Oh boy, racism and homophobia.
And why the organic farmers?
Yeah, that's a bizarre one.
That's like straight out of left field. So
GMOs come from God.
It's not GMO, it's GOD. So, again, from the SPLC, quote, "But night also teaches students to be sovereign, to hoard gold and prepare food and supplies to survive for over 2 years after one of the natural disasters that she often predicts will hit the earth. Night, as Ramtha, is also quoted on the neo-Nazi web forum Stormfront.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Where her writings on the New World Order are much appreciated and quoted under headings such as, quote, "Jews were responsible for causing World War I and II.
God damn it.
It's all, we can never get away from this. And no. I didn't know how bad it was until we started doing this fucking show.
It's Jew conspiracies all the way down.
It is.
Not like they're literally behind it. I mean, it's like the
conspiracies all the way down, yeah.
It's like a game of werewolf, but instead of werewolf, it's Jew.
Yeah. God damn it, David. So here's another quote from Wikipedia. "Various incidents within the school's grounds have been characterized as controversial. Glenn Cunningham, in an interview with David McCarthy, describes how one evening, Knight suggested that all students should stay there overnight because she said it would be, quote, good for the energy. That was before the Great Arena, formerly used as horse stables, had been floored, and as a result, there will be a lot of dust in the air. Cunningham says that there was a very old woman among the students who begged him that she did not want to do this and she wanted to go home, but Ramtha said that she could stay under the protection of Ramtha and her bodyguard. Leaving the arena the following day, the old woman died of pneumonia due to the dust in the air and humidity."
Ooh.
Hey, we even got a body count here, too. So far, this is a pretty solid cult.
I know. I mean, this is like everything you want when you're talking about the worst shit in the world.
You know, and the other thing is, like, you find this with a lot of cults. There's a big, like, fuck it energy from like the
the
leader, where it's like, yeah, just trying shit. Hey, how about we all just stay here tonight? Like just for whatever fucking reason.
It's good for the energy.
I mean, that's Jim Jones and Elron in a nutshell. It's like
you have to do it in like a bad Indian accent. I'm not going to do that, but imagine that. Imagine it.
Yeah, you're just throwing chocolate against the wall until it sticks.
Chocolate.
So this further quote. Another incident, which is mentioned by both Cunningham and Joe Simhart, is the practice of running blindfolded in a large fenced field.
Fuck.
Zimhart mentions in particular an occasion around the year 1990 in which about 1,000 blindfolded students were directed to split up and run around the field with their hands in the consciousness and energy position in front of them. And the exercise was meant to help the students overcome their fears. Zimhart recalls how many people crashed into each other and that there were some injuries. A customer of his ended up with a deeply bruised shoulder and a big lump on his forehead. Aside from the minor injuries, a few people had to be treated at the hospital.
This just sounds like something that like someone would do as a TikTok prank.
Yeah.
or maybe it's the next Mr. Beast video.
Man, you know what? That man needs to be stopped. I mean,
it legitimately sounds like it's a Mr. Beast video.
Yeah.
It's wild to me.
So I wanted to quote those because I thought if I paraphrased, it would lose the impact. This is not just some woo-woo group. This is a cult, plain and simple. And most of the locals know it, but they keep their mouth shut for fear of the cult's 6,000 fucking members.
Because they know it's good for them.
Yeah, Ghost Forge in the Discord was telling me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and just like towns being taken over by cults is a thing you see a lot. Did you guys ever see Wild Wild Country?
I don't even know what that is, but I'm curious now.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's a documentary. I forget the name of the cult leader, Rajesh something, but they basically just take over this town in Oregon and attempt a terrorist attack. It's
Holy
wild.
shit.
Yeah.
And this is a documentary or a movie?
Yeah, it's a documentary. It's like...
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's something we got to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's two more things I need to bring up about Ramtha's School of Enlightenment. First is a film called What the Bleep Do We Know? Either of you guys heard of this?
No.
I haven't seen it, but I ask myself that question every day.
Okay, that's fair. Now, in 2004... some of the members of the school did a film about quantum science and how it relates to human consciousness, like their tenant, and the film was called What the Bleep Do We Know?, where they interviewed some of the most brilliant scientists and philosophers in the world and then cut the interviews up to change the context. They made it sound like they all agreed with the teachings of Ramtha. They, of course, also interviewed Ramtha himself.
And you know that Neil deGrasse Tyson was on that documentary at some point.
Yeah,
because he
it's
shows up in fucking everything.
Oh, there are people on that you see on Science Channel all the time.
Yeah.
So, now, being the early days of the internet, this thing kind of went viral in early aughts version of viral. And I know, Mike, you don't remember this, but years ago, you showed me and Warren a great little video about the double slit experiment.
Yeah.
Mike, can you quickly explain the double slit experiment? Just summarize.
So the double slit experiment is basically an experiment for the wave particle duality of light, in that
when you're observing it.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of the easiest way because you're kind of put me on the spot.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just that. So, okay, imagine two slits, and if they were waves, if I'm remembering correctly, if say there was a body of water and two obstacles that had two slits in it, that when the waves go through it, the waves would create interference patterns on the other side.
Right.
But if you shot just single particles through the slits, you would get you would
You would get the slit shape from the
Yeah.
particles.
yeah, because they're going straight through. But damn it, it's
When-
been so long since I've like read up on this.
when you observe the thing happening, it acts like a particle, but
So
when you don't observe, it shows the waveform pattern.
So here's my problem with it: is so observe is kind of a
Yeah,
very,
but observe means with an electron microscope.
yeah,
Yeah,
and like
so
just
you're
looking at it.
affecting the results by watching it.
Yeah, it all ties into the what is that, Heisenberg uncertainty principle?
Yes, and it breaks down. It breaks the uncertainty thing.
Yeah. So anyway, but
it reminds me of that joke in Futurama with the horse racing
the quantum
and
finish.
the quantum finish. And no fair, you change the outcome by measuring it.
Yes, exactly.
It's like my favorite joke on Futurama.
I know, and that's it. So the video that we watched, of course, turned out to be from What the Bleep Do We Know? And it had the woo stuff cut out in that it stopped before it got to the woo stuff. It does a very good job of actually explaining the quantum mechanics, but it definitely says that the universe bends to the will of the human mind without ever mentioning how they observe the experiment.
yeah.
Needless to say, no one who appeared in that film was happy with the way they were represented or their interviews were used.
Yeah, well, selective editing is a real bitch.
So is Jay-Z Knight. Now, lastly, are Jay-Z Knight's donations.
Uh-oh.
Now, Ms. Knight has been an avid supporter of political campaigns in the Democratic Party. And this has bitten them in the ass once her racism and anti-Semitism became public knowledge. But you know who else she funds, guys? In fact, she's the biggest single source of funds for MUFON.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm dead serious. A Mutual UFO Network, the large majority of their support comes from Jay-Z Knight. And given the recent, in the last few years, revelations that MUFON is run by a pedophile and its regional heads are all alt-right, right-wing nut jobs along the lines of neo-Nazis, I can't say I'm surprised.
And you thought MUFON had credibility issues before all that was revealed.
Kinda. They never logged my fucking report. Sons of bitches. Now, that's all I've got for this first subject. But David, I understand you've got some interesting info about your weird hellmouth of a town.
Yeah, we, when you told me we were doing cults, I'm like, okay, this seems like the best place. I didn't want to devote an entire episode to the cult I'm going to be talking about, but
Yeah.
like this seemed like a good place to talk about them. So we've established a couple times on the show that I live in kind of a weird desert town called Hemet, California. It's kind of like Night Vale, but with more meth, old people, and Trump flags.
I love that.
So my area is kind of this weird nexus of things I find interesting, among which my area is known for literature, cartoons, a serial killer, and at least 2 cults.
Fuck.
So, for the record, the town really only wants to be associated with the famous play based on the work of Helen Hunt Jackson called Ramona. It's one of the longest continually running outdoor plays in the U.S. In U.S. history, which is neat. You know,
That's neat.
Hey, good for Hemet. Also neat, if you're a fan of the Disney Duck comics, such as like Donald and Scrooge, the legendary Carl Barks lived here in the same town. I can go around town and pick out landmarks that inspired Duckburg in the comic, and I can drive by what was once his chicken ranch once in a while.
Now, I think that's awesome because, you know, I'm a fan of fucking DuckTales and such, but didn't you say, like, there's a water tower that the Money Bin's based on?
Yeah, there's a neighborhood here. It's like, back in the day, it would have been like the rich neighborhood, and I guess it still kind of is, called Park Hill. And, you know, we got one of those, like, big water tower, like, not like a tower, but a big structure that holds, like, water and stuff.
Right.
And, it's just pretty much, like, that's the inspiration for, the Money Bin. Because, again, the Money Bin sits on a hill overlooking Duckburg and everything like that.
Son of a bitch. I want to visit Hemet now.
No, don't. Just I live here. Don't. It's a cute, interesting thing. But again, like there's also a lot of really weird, fucked up shit.
Right.
So your mileage may vary on this, but I find it interesting that the murder hobo Henry Lee Lucas also lived in my town for a bit in the late 80s.
Oh, I hope I'm remembered as a murder hobo one day.
Yeah, he and his child bride.
Yes, I
were
remember
taken
that.
in. Yeah, they were taken in by a hardware store or an antique store person, and they didn't commit any murders in the area, but it's fucking Henry Lee Lucas.
Yeah.
You ever seen the movie Henry: Portrait of a Serial Killer?
No.
Loosely based on him.
But it's him and Otis Toole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, like I find it fascinating whenever I drop that in my serial killer part of my English class that I teach. It always gets an interesting reaction and everything like that. So
I can understand that.
yeah, but as far as local cults go, the most famous of which is the Church of Scientology, which has its gold base situated nearby.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they essentially own a stretch of local highway. Basically, you have this highway that cuts through their land, and on each side of the highway there's facilities. They have the house that is supposed to be given to L. Ron Hubbard when he returns.
Right. Oh, right. Oh my God. You're gonna have L. Ron.
Yeah, and then we also have their production facilities, our airport. Our local airport, every time we see the Learjet come in, we know it's like Tom Cruise or one of the celebrities.
Oh, yeah. Hey, is that where they shot all those movies about trying to fight the CIA?
Yeah, that like Golden Era is their like one of their production facilities.
Oh,
I don't
my
know if it's their
God.
major one. It's also where The Hole is located. If you're familiar with Scientology and you've heard of The Hole, that's where...
Is that... Do they also have that tree you have to walk around?
I don't know. All I know is that last time I stopped there to like take a look at the property, I saw dudes with guns, and I'm like, nope, I'm good.
Oh wow, holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. So we've got the Church of Scientology. That's the big one. Everybody knows about that. However, another less known but pretty interesting cult has been associated with Hemet as well. The Christ family, who were involved in a missing child case that was huge national news in the 1980s.
Now, can I just say, it's never a good sign when it's called, like, the Christ family. In fact, nothing with the name The Family is ever good. Like the Family International, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, before I get into it, have you ever heard of the case of Baby Holly?
I have not, and I hope it's not your good lady wife.
No.
Okay.
She's safe. She's
Okay,
safe. She's
cool.
fine. Okay, so yeah, we'll go get into this. This is a little bit of like a human interest story wrapped up in this cult stuff. It's also had some interesting developments over the past couple of years, so I'm just going to kind of run through this. So I'm working from about a dozen sources, but I will mention them as needed and link them in the document. Shout out specifically to cultfacts.com in particular for its database-style listing of information on the cult in question.
Cool.
So let's go ahead and start with a true crime angle in all of this, and then we'll peel back the information on the cult at the heart of the tragedy.
Hey.
So I'll be running through the basic story from a write-up in People magazine. All right, here we go.
Sure.
In August of 1980, 21-year-old Dean Klaus and his 17-year-old wife Tina and their 1-year-old daughter Holly Marie moved from Florida to Houston, Texas on a job lead. However, 6 months later, by January of 1981, there was no sign of Dean, Tina, or baby Holly.
Can I just say 21-year-old Dean and 17-year-old wife just kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of sus now, but like,
Yeah.
you hear about that, like, it was
Sure.
another generation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't condone it, but like, I'm like, okay, no.
It's different.
It was a different understanding of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, long story short, their extended family spent 40 years with no news about the missing Dean, Tina, and Holly. It wasn't until, like, 2011 that the remains of Dean and Tina were identified, but there was still, like, no news about Holly.
Fuck.
Now, their remains were found all the way back in January 6th of 1981.
Oh, God.
but went unidentified for decades. And those remains were found by a man who found a decomposed arm in the mouth of his German Shepherd.
Jesus jumped up Christ. Good dog.
Now,
good boy.
Right. So Tina had been the victim of strangulation, and Dean's skull was fractured. Again, though, no sign of baby Holly living or otherwise.
Oh, boy.
Now, in 2011, the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office exhumed the remains of the couple for DNA analysis. The combined work of forensic genealogist Misty Gillis and Allison Peacock a decade later, in 2021, began to turn up genetic leads. By 2022, Dean's family had been contacted and there was some closure, but the question remained, what happened to the baby?
What happened to baby?
Right? Well, it turns out that in January of 2022, the Texas Attorney General's Cold Case and Missing Persons Unit began looking into the case again, first by pulling the birth certificate for Holly Marie from Florida. But there was a snag. The records were sealed, which indicated adoption.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So, one court order later, it was discovered that Holly had been adopted by a couple in the state of Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. So let's talk about the Christ family cult, though.
Oh, please.
We're going to transition here. So the Christ family cult is a Christian cult, obviously, that was established in the early 1960s by one Charles Franklin McHugh, who would later be known as Jesus Christ Lightning Amen.
Hey, how much is a name change?
It is a wild fucking name.
Jesus Christ Lightning Amen.
And you find out that a lot of people who were in the family changed their last name to Christ.
That's why it's the Christ family, I would guess.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
So, McHugh, in a Washington Post write-up in 1980, was said to be a former carpenter and San Diego native who had undergone a 40-day fast in the Mojave Desert and returned to San Diego to preach that he was Christ reborn.
Okay, in all fairness, he's a carpenter and he was in the desert for 40 days. I kind of see the connection here.
Mm-hmm. Now, at its height, the cult had a couple thousand members that could be found in Southern California, Washington, D.C., Florida, Arizona, and Texas.
Yeah, y'all keep them over there in the east.
The cult was mostly nomadic, preaching their gospel and rejecting work as they believed their only work was to spread the word of God and, by extension, McHugh's. They were pretty consistent with how a lot of nomadic cults in the 60s and 70s were in California, with panhandling, sleeping in public spaces, and dumpster diving.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, like this is the same thing that Manson did for a while.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, quoting a 1997 article from the Deseret News, quote, "The ragged band of members who wear long white robes and adopt the surname Christ keep guardedly to themselves as they smoke God's tranquilizer, marijuana, and beg for food. They shun sex, leather, and underwear, and follow a leader known as Jesus Christ Lightning Amen."
But do they shun sex leather?
Oh, there's another costuming detail that the quote neglects to mention, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Now, as far as drug use is concerned, alcohol was strictly forbidden, but marijuana and tobacco were permitted as they were considered natural.
Now, Mike, back me up here, but fermentation is a natural process that fruit do.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah,
And they would probably have to, get the rotten fruit from the ground or whatever.
Oh, they'd have to do it like the monkeys of olden times.
Here's the thing. Setting fire to ganja is not a natural process either.
Yeah. They'd have to stand out in the fucking desert and wait for lightning to strike their blunts.
Because if you picked up, if you saw a marijuana plant and just grabbed a bud off of it and started chewing on it, it's not going to do anything because heat's needed to release most of the THC. So you basically just...
That's why you cook it when you make edibles.
Yeah, it just tastes bad and you'd get not high at all.
I mean, there were a bunch of people who fought around a guy named Jesus Christ Lightning Amen. I don't expect...
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, but...
They don't have a lot of internal logic going on, I guess.
Right. So like many cults of the time, members were required to give up their possessions and fund the cult with sales of whatever they sell off.
Right.
Also, like many cults at the time, they would isolate members from their family. Again, all the big cult playbook.
That is straight up in the handbook.
Additionally, some reports on the cult indicated that children were to be given up by members of the cult. This will be important for later.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to be quoting one Rick Ross in a New York Post write-up here.
Real quick, what is it with the hip-hop names? Jay-Z, Rick Ross?
Right.
God,
He's like the whitest looking dude, too. It's fantastic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Quote, "The way Lightning Amen functions is children were excess baggage. If you're running a group that is nomadic, you want them to be mobile, you want them to be devoted. You don't want them to be distracted, and so children are a distraction."
Now I'm just picturing Hans Molman saying all this.
So,
kids.
Give up the kids. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's cool. Like, I'm always appreciative of a Hans Molman reference. So, unlike many of these other, like, West Coast cults, however, there was no real pattern of sexual abuse in the cult as a whole, or any sign of sex, really, as the members seemed to be almost completely celibate. I specify almost here. And perhaps it was the diapers they wore on their head as turbans that worked to keep the temptation at bay. That is legitimate.
Were they at least clean?
I would hope so. I've got pictures of Jesus Christ Lightning Amen wearing one of the diapers.
Oh, I'm looking that up.
Yeah. So the cult more or less ended with the arrest of McHugh in 1987 for transportation and possession of methamphetamines.
Oh, boy.
I see the diaper, my God.
Yeah, and this is Hemet. Hemet is known for meth. Like, when they were making the show Breaking Bad, it was supposed to be set in my county, Riverside County.
Of course.
And then they changed it to Albuquerque, New Mexico. But the show could have easily... Hemet would have been in the show. I swear to God.
Well, both locations work.
He was also carrying $30,000 and a gun. 45 caliber, I believe.
That's nice. What was he going to do with that?
Yeah, and then prior to that, in 1985, about 10 members of the cult were busted for growing close to $1 million in marijuana.
You know, they were a few decades early.
Now, that was the cult as a whole. Remember how I mentioned there was no real pattern of sexual abuse?
Right.
While one could say that about the cult as a whole, that wasn't the case for McHugh.
Fucking of course it wasn't.
In 2001, he was arrested again, accused of 3 counts of molesting a child under 18, but was ultimately only found guilty on 1 count in 2003.
Oh boy.
Now, looking this up, because of this whole... We're going to get an update on the Baby Holly situation in a minute, but it's big news, and a lot of people who are in the community and of the faith have been like sharing their recollections. A lot of stuff is being published. So, some recollections from former members of the cult painted a very sinister and manipulative picture of McHugh as well. I'm not going to go into it, but there was a lot I found among several online communities, especially locally, such as like Facebook posts. I don't want to out anyone who posts about this shit on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What the fuck does your next door look like?
Mostly people complaining about Biden.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, no, that's literally it. So I found a lot of comments on different articles from people who claim to be in the Christ family, ranging from accusing authors of being liars and slanderers, to confirming details and sharing their own stories. Like, the property that McHugh was on is still there.
Oh.
And I think there's still members of the church. They're not
organized.
Public. Yeah, they're not so much public anymore, but there is like a ministry element attached to it.
Right.
There's all sorts of interesting financial stuff. There's a music company involved.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big topic, man.
We're going to be talking about music and cults in a bit.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of music, I'm going to quote Ross again.
Rick Ross, live!
So, quote, "There are many destructive cults, but they're not all equally destructive. But the Christ family was one of the most destructive cults in modern history. Cult members were completely cut off from family. McHugh was an abusive and controlling leader. He psychologically and emotionally tortured the people who were under his control. He was an omnipresent, absolute ruler who was a megalomaniac. They were involved in a great deal of drugs, and McHugh would encourage them to use drugs.
God.
Now, McHugh would die in 2010 in where else? Hemet, California. As for his cult, evidence suggests that they were responsible for the deaths of Dean and Tina Klaus and the abduction of baby Holly.
Have you considered pissing on his grave? I've had experience with this, and it's very therapeutic.
I doubt he's buried in a public place.
Okay, well, piss on his grave in effigy.
Yeah, there we go. I'll make a grave. So, returning back to our story about baby Holly here, after the unsealing of Holly's birth record, investigators managed to track down the adoption to Philip and Constance McGoldrick in Arizona. So I'm going to go ahead and continue quoting the People article here. Quote, On November 8th, 1980, Philip McGoldrick, a pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Yuma, Arizona, was late for a meeting when he heard a knock on the back door of the church. When he peered through the window, he saw 3 women dressed in white robes, members of a religious group known as the Christ Family. I opened the door to say, "Well, can I help you?" McGoldrick tells People. I'm expecting them to say, "We need some gas money or food." Instead, the women offered him a baby girl. I asked, "You need someone to babysit?" he says. They said, No, we want to give this baby away. Now, one of these women was possibly Tina. Handed over a birth certificate and a note from Dean relinquishing parental rights.
Holy shit.
Now, from what the investigation has gathered, Dean and Tina had become part of the cult at some point, or at least involved with them to a degree. I don't think we'll ever really know what the circumstance was. What we do know is that in December of 1980, maybe just after New Year 1981, a Sister Susan had contacted Dean's family in an attempt to sell them the family car for $1,000, likely for the community fund of the Christ family. Now, the sources I read didn't really tell me much about what happened from there, such as if the family bought the car, but what was mentioned was that Sister Susan mentioned that Dean and Tina had joined the Christ family.
What was the Blue Book value? I'm kidding. Kidding.
What's the Blue Book value of a baby?
Oh, yeah, good question.
It depends. Is going to Moloch? That's a dark joke.
No, I get it.
So with all this darkness, I am happy to share that the baby Holly, known today as Holly Marie, was finally identified in 2022 as a 42-year-old mother of 5 in Oklahoma. Since then, she is reunited with her surviving extended family.
Good.
Yeah. So this whole story is absolutely fascinating, and Holly Marie recently published a book on her experiences, which I'm really wanting to read.
That sounds like it's going to be interesting, and thank you for that. You mentioned Jesus Christ Lightning Amen once. I was like, well, this I got to hear.
And I recall when we were talking about it, a lot of this stuff was still developing. I think baby Holly had just been found.
Yeah.
So it was nice that I kind of waited on this one.
So what you're saying is, ooh wee oo, they found baby Holly.
Oh.
Oh boy.
I look just like okay. Anyway, guys. Before we move on and I ruin food products for you, let's take a quick break, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we will be right back after this. Hi, everyone. This is Kevin from Supernatural Selection. Are you an independent creator? Do you have a webcomic or an Etsy store? Do you 3D print things? Or are you just looking to get some word out for your Discordian cabal with social terrorism? Well, we'd love to help. And David, I believe you've got some details about how we can help.
Why, certainly. If you go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, that is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, you can learn how to advertise with us.
That's right. I believe the rate is $2 per episode. You can't beat that with a stick.
I mean, trust me, we've tried.
Yeah, that's cheap. That's literally cheaper than dirt.
Mm-hmm. And best of all, if you're not sure how to write an ad, we'll do it for you. We'll even record it.
Absolutely. Just let us know what you need in the ad, and we'll be happy to do that for you.
And again, that URL is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact.
And now, back to the show. And we're back. Now, before we get going, Mike, I have an idea for a costume for Dragon Con based on what we were talking about a minute ago. Not the cult, but Duckburg. I want to cosplay as a human Scrooge McDuck, so I need like a top hat. I've got my glasses, I got a cane, so I want to get a waistcoat and then no pants.
Yeah. No. You have that authentic, like, kind of ducky look if you wore a adult diaper.
I don't know. I just like the idea of walking around with no pants.
I think
and
most
if
of
you wear the
Dragon
diaper
Con
on your head,
I
could
could
go as Lightning Amen.
I could go as Jesus Christ Lightning Amen, which I swear I want to change my name to that. Anyway, guys, how are we feeling about cults so far?
pretty good.
Not great about them, if I'm being honest.
Not like good, but
you're content in your hatred of them.
Yeah.
One thing that I do think we should discuss, maybe in a future episode, or at least post a link to it in the notes, is the bite model of authoritarian control, which is how a lot of these cult leaders operate.
Yes, that's a very interesting thing that Holly, not baby Holly, but Holly sent you.
Yeah, my Holly. She sent me this. I'm not gonna go through and read it, but I am gonna link it in the document. Just if you recognize any of these behaviors within a group that you're with,
get out.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah. You can leave.
Yeah. And it comes down to controlling people's behavior, their access to information, controlling their very thoughts and emotions as well. It's all quite sinister.
Yeah, but remember, you can leave, people will help.
Absolutely.
So we're about to ruin someone's day because our next cult is Celestial Seasonings. Yes, the makers of Sleepy Time Tea were founded by a eugenics cult. Let's dive in.
Oh boy.
I knew there was something sinister about those bears on the label.
Yep, they're drowsy and content and falling asleep in a world of white power.
Oh, God.
All right, so my references for this one are Cults, Conspiracies, and the Twisted History of Sleepy Time Tea from Inverse. And by the way, I didn't say this before. All these are linked in the show note, in the outline. But anyway, that was from Inverse. Sleepy Time Tea, Secret Religion Behind Celestial Seasonings, news.com.au. And let me see if I can say this. This is a fucked up word. The Urantia book. The Wikipedia article on it.
That looks right to me.
All right. So, in 1960... oh, my God. Fuck.
60
Power through it, man. Power through it.
Yep. In 1969, as Mo Siegel and John Hay were traipsing up the side of a mountain for herbs for their tea shop, they were also getting into a New Age religion. You see, Siegel...
So when you say traipsing through the hills to find herbs, you're talking about their secret weed garden, right?
No, I'm actually talking about herbs specifically to make tea because they wanted to make something that wasn't based on your typical British tea.
Yeah, your Earl Grey.
Yeah,
hot.
like chamomile and stuff. They're looking for weird-ass herbs in America.
I would say I don't think you could traipse up the side of a mountain.
Well, you know what I mean. They were hiking through the hills and mountains and dales and such and looking for weeds.
I like how you fucked up 1969, but you got traipsing perfect.
Well, yeah, I say traipsing a lot. Now, you see, Siegel and Hay were both hippies, and had gotten into this New Age Bible called the Urantia book.
Say that 5 times fast.
No, but I'm going to say it a lot. The Urantia book's authorship is in question since it was, well, of course, written during a channeling session and is credited to an alien. Does that sound familiar, guys?
Not at all.
Sounds like 1/3 of our topics. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. So, as far as we can tell, it was probably written by William S. Sadler due to being published in the same city, which I believe was Chicago, and having similar world views to the man. Also, if you really want to ruin a day or two, the book is in public domain after some legal shenanigans.
I know I advocate for the public domain for the public good, but can we also have an anti-public domain for cult writings?
Not just cult writings, there's just, well, no, because I think we can learn from anything, even if there are bad things, we should learn that they're bad.
Yeah, Mike...
just have a restricted section of the public domain.
Yeah, well, Mike's kind of like the actual version of Elon Musk in that he is kind of a free speech absolutist.
The Black Library public domain.
Ooh, I like that idea. Like the Vatican Archive public domain.
You could read it. You're very free to read it, but just know that there's bad shit.
You'll be put on a list.
You're on a list. You're losing sanity.
It's like reading Lovecraftian books. Your brain gets broken.
Yeah.
So, these guys, thinking this book was super groovy and life-changing, they decided that they would use its fringe Christian teachings as the basis for their new company, Celestial Seasonings, after their Sleepy Time tea brew took off. Now, again, guys, what do you think this book teaches?
How to make tea and how to drink tea and all the good things about tea.
Well, first it teaches that Jesus was an extraterrestrial prophet from the stars.
And then he brought tea and he drank tea and that's all.
Nope. It also teaches that Earth's true name is Urantia and gives a complete history of it, summarized.
That includes tea, and drinking tea.
It teaches about the end times in a similar fashion to early Seventh-day Adventists.
No tea in the end times, unfortunately.
Yep. And it teaches that Nordics are the superior race and that all minorities should be wiped from the face of the earth for the glory of God. Amen.
Because they have tea.
God, Mike.
Drink tea.
That's some bitter tea.
It is some bitter fucking tea. As you can see, though, these aren't great foundations for a company that makes tea with a drowsy teddy bear on the label.
I mean, if the teddy bears are white, maybe.
Again,
he's just tuckered from oppressing minorities.
Oh, bother. Anyway, worse, Mo was deep into the Urantia Foundation. That's the organization that tries to spread the teachings of the Urantia book.
Like Vegemite trying to spread it, but nobody wants it.
Not enough butter.
Or like butter scraped over too much bread.
Yeah, it's funny. Butter is used when you're eating. Anyway, they, of course, claim that they are not a cult, which is a great way to figure out if a group is a cult or not.
Yeah, I don't think any cult has ever said, yeah, we're a cult. Come on, we're just a cult. Get in here, cult it up with us.
I just picture them wearing robes over a brew of tea, muttering that they aren't a cult despite the clear cultist robes.
I'm picturing the Stonecutters.
No, it's like the KLM robes, but instead of like the horn, it's just like,
a
bouquets
tea spout.
I was just thinking bouquets of herbs or something.
Sticking out of the hood.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. So, to their credit, Celestial Seasonings as a company has sort of cut all that out of their company history after Mo left. Kind of like the Nerdist and Chris Hardwick after the allegations against him.
You kind of have to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
Or like Volkswagen and the Nazis, or Hugo Boss and the Nazis, or Chanel and the Nazis, or...
I see a theme with the Nazis. There's not really much more to this one. I just find it really fascinating, though, how much a cult can affect popular culture without anyone ever really knowing.
Yeah, look at Muppet Babies.
That's actually 100% true.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, the brand did a fairly good job of separating themselves from their cult origins to where now it's just like this curiosity used for medium posts and minor podcasts.
We are fairly minor.
I think they should just pivot, go and full tilt, lean back into it, because obviously Celestial Seasoning
Drink the
is
cult, be the cult.
way out of its like time in the sun. Like I'm actually surprised they're still around as a brand.
Oh, they're
honestly.
still one of the best-selling teas in the world.
Well, you just don't hear about them like you used to. Like I remember in
Yeah.
the 80s, you heard about them. They had
Well,
commercials all the time.
That's because that's when Mo left, and they were like, we really got to make some money.
Bold strategy of them for not allowing black people to buy their tea.
Oh, fuck, dude. What is this, Mormonism in the 60s? But seriously, though, Mike was right. I read an interview with Jeffrey Scott, head writer of Muppet Babies, and he was a Scientologist, and he said in Muppet Babies and the Littles, they just shoved it full of Scientology teachings without anyone knowing.
And I like those shows, and I never like it. They failed because it never like.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Muppet Babies, I fucking adored, but I don't think it succeeded as well because, Jim Henson was there to have a guiding, hand in it. But
well, now that you mention it, I do remember the scene where Kermit flew a 747 into a volcano.
oh, that's
that was kinda
right.
weird.
But seriously, The Littles was fucked, man. You watch that show, there's something deeply unsettling and uncomfortable about The Littles.
I kind of like the Littles. I mean, it was.
I never did as a kid. I was like, something's wrong here.
I never got that. I don't think that was like a Scientology thing. I think it was just I don't know.
I don't know.
You didn't like whimsy.
No, it's not that. I loved whimsy. I used to watch whimsical stuff.
I saw the most brutal comeback posted on. I don't remember who posted it. Like credit to whoever came out with it, but it was like L plus ratio plus you lack whimsy. I was like, oh, that's devastating. That's absolutely devastating.
Oh, God. Well, we'll talk about that more on the distraction hole. Our next subject is one I'm sure a lot of you out there know about, at least by osmosis. You've been hit with billboards and ads everywhere, whether you realize it or not, even here in the dirty South. I am talking, of course, about Shin Yoon.
God damn it, I got Shen Yuned again.
Yep. Mike, you saw one of their billboards on the way back from Kentucky, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, wasn't Shenmue that game by Yuji Naka?
Yoon.
Oh,
not
okay,
Shen
okay,
Yun,
okay.
Shen Yun.
You darn long-eared galoot. Now,
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of trailers for their Fathom events whenever I go to see a movie.
oh, yeah?
Yeah, because they Fathom events.
Yeah, no, I've been to Fathom events, yeah.
Yeah.
I know they're like 3,000 years of like culture,
5,000.
5,000, whatever.
Yeah.
Tagline is.
Get it right.
I'm not in the cult. I don't have to get it right.
Okay, that's fair.
But so in one of my discords, one of my friends there, he loves to rail on Shen Yun, so I know a little bit about them. Like,
okay.
I knew they were a cult, and I know they're a very anti-communist party of China.
Now, I honestly knew nothing about these guys until Mike mentioned it, and then I started seeing memes and jokes about it, and then the billboards started popping up here in Jackson. It turns out they were here last year, and they're going to be again here this year at Thalliamara Hall in March, and I'm sure there's a lot of really old white people that are just super excited.
The same people who freak the fuck out about MSG?
You're goddamn right. We actually have a jar of that stuff.
Yeah, I bought like
Hell
a
yeah.
2-pack of like MSG shakers.
Fuck
Just
yeah.
'cause I found out I
MSG
could get-
is pure flavor, baby.
I'm going to start
Pile
putting
shit
that in
on.
my milk.
But no, like, so
Meat milk.
I wonder how many Shen Yun touring companies there
steak.
are.
Actually, we're going to get into that. I found out.
Because there's a lot. They're all over the place. There
Yeah.
has to be like, dozens of the fuckers.
You're not that far from wrong. Or you're not
Because
you're not too far from right. I mean. But
you think they would be like, what's the thing, Cirque du Soleil or something? There's only a couple of them.
A little, but no. Now, my sources for this one are Stepping into the Uncanny, Unsettling World of Shin Yoon from The New Yorker. The article's by Gia Tolentino. Shin Yoon, the Wikipedia article, and Falun Gong, the Wikipedia article. Now, Shin Yoon is at its heart a dance troupe based out of a compound in New York State run by adherents to Falun Dafa or Falun Gong, depending on what article you're reading. Their ubiquitous ads, which read things like 5,000 years of civilization reborn, are spread by the local branches of the movement.
Whenever you can describe an organization as occupying a compound, you're already in like cult territory. And I say that as someone who wants a compound.
What a coincidence. I want a compound too.
I know all of us want a compound and we want a grift. We got to do this.
You know how many times I think, like, if I ever hit the lottery, I would just, like, buy a big chunk of land.
Dude,
and,
same.
Build a compound. Just build multiple houses and be like,
same.
Hey, motherfuckers, just come live here if you want. I don't care.
Guys,
same. We would have a podcasting studio there.
We'd have an underground podcasting bunker.
I'm writing the suicide pact.
Like that Kids in the Hall sketch with Dave Foley as the last DJ on Earth.
Oh, God.
That's the vibe that I want.
Fuck you, Kevin.
The woman that sang that song died today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he put that in my head, and I hate it.
Yeah, that's okay. Nestle makes the very best.
Yes. Chase it away.
Yes.
Soothe the pain.
Anyway, so your typical Shin Yun show involves a troupe of 40 dancers and about 40 musicians. So that's 80 people in a group. There are currently 6 touring groups at least. So I want to let those numbers sink in for just a second.
I'm mad that you mentioned it was 80 because I was going to have a joke about me not being good at math and saying that's like 4,040 people, right?
God damn it. I'm sorry.
It.
I did. I'm sorry. I fucked up your joke.
It's okay.
So that's 80
it's
people.
Okay. It's not a very good joke.
Times 6, that's 480 people.
Yeah, just in the troops.
Yeah, and that's at least.
At least.
Low end.
Yeah, and there may be international groups.
Probably.
I mean, if you work your performers harder and make them dance while playing the instruments, you can cut down on those numbers.
That's true. That overhead. But you want to grow the numbers for the cult.
Okay.
So.
I'm sorry. I'm just in savings mode.
Yeah,
right now.
It's okay. I understand. We're all in late stage capitalism. I understand. Now, its dancers come out in beautiful flowing costumes, and they leap around in front of a giant screen with videos and animations playing behind them. And it really sounds like there is some amazing technical work going on with this, because like a dancer will pop up on the screen and like run and shrink, and then like a real dancer bursts out from behind the screen. Mm-hmm. So like it sounds really impressive.
Sounds like they really need to put this production in the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Yeah. They also teach you some Chinese. Specifically, how to say, I love Shin Yun. And I don't know why, but that just creeps me right the fuck out. Knowing nothing else about them, that is just like fucked.
Ni hao lo wai.
Oh, fuck off.
It'd be like the CCP handing out free shirts overseas with Xi Jinping's face that read Daddy in Mandarin.
I want one.
Yeah. But no, that's the only Chinese I know. Ni hao lo wai.
And what does that mean?
It's basically... so lo wai is the Chinese version of a gai jin or gringo. It's
so it's
kind
like
of slightly
sub
derogatory.
gringo kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a derogatory, foreigner kind of thing. Ni
Okay.
hao.
I'm just so happy you didn't just like do a slur.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
No, ni hao is just hello or something like that. So it's basically hello foreigner. But I heard that so much in PUBG. Towards the end there, it was just like overrun with Chinese people.
Oh wow.
And Chinese hackers.
So meanwhile, back with the cult.
Yeah. Oh.
A lot of their routines and acts in the show and the things the hosts talk about are strongly anti-communist, which, Mike, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Which is,
we know at first that sounds like, they're
that's cool.
CCP.
Yeah, which is why Falun Dafa is banned and persecuted in China.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to quote Gia Tolentino's article from The New Yorker about her experiences at a show while she had a raging fever and decided to go to the show anyway, which sounds a lot like the time I watched Dune on Codeine 3.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
I was there for that. Kevin just kind of like rolled on the bed and murmured.
I was sitting there like I was trying to say.
The Kids Watch Haderach.
No,
I am the Kids Watch Haderach.
I really was, but I was trying to say, Mike, change the channel, please change the channel.
But he just like
Fear is
rolled
the
on the
mind
bed.
killer. Fear is the death that brings obliteration.
All he fucking heard was,
He could not like
articulate
anything. So I'm just like watching Dune like
the thing is,
tripping
I'm
balls.
watching Dune and Mike's playing fucking Battlefield 1942, so I'm hearing grenades go off and like sandworms and shit. My world
Holy
is
fuck.
destroyed.
I destroyed Kevin's ego that day.
Yeah, no, that's what's wrong with me now and why this show happens. So, anyway, to quote the article, it begins, quote, I felt my forehead. That's a great start. The dances continued, sleeves swirling, skirts rippling. A man came on stage to sing a song in Chinese, which was translated on the screen behind him. Quote, we follow Dafa, the great way, he began, singing about a creator who saved mankind and made the world anew. Quote, atheism and evolution are deadly ideas. Modern trends destroy what makes us human, he sang. At the end of the song, the row of older white people sitting behind me clapped fervently. In the final dance numbers, a group of Falun Dafa followers who wore blue and yellow and clutched books of religious teachings battled for space in a public square with corrupt youth. Their corruption was evident because they were wearing black, looking at their cell phones, and in the case of two men, holding hands.
Oh, jeez.
Chairman Mao appeared, and the sky turned black, and the city in the digital backdrop was obliterated by an earthquake, then finished off by a communist tsunami. A red hammer and sickle glowed in the center of the wave. Dazed, I rubbed my eyes and saw a huge bearded face disappearing into the water. Was that? I said to my brother, wondering if I needed to go to the hospital. Karl Marx, he said. Yeah, I think that was a tsunami with the face of Karl Marx. It was a fantastic article, guys.
Oh my god, I need to read this.
Yeah. Now, I'm wondering if you guys caught the implication that homosexuality is a corruption here.
Yes.
Well, was it the bit with noted gay icon Karl Marx?
Probably.
I also just find it...
But was the corruption of homosexuality washed away by Karl Marx?
Yeah, I don't know.
I also just find it funny how utterly transparent it is and its messaging is described here. Like, you couldn't get any message across if there's, like, you can get any message across if there's a dance behind it. Like those TikToks of people dancing and explaining stuff simultaneously. You ever seen those?
Yeah, I kind of want Robert Evans to start doing Behind the Bastards while flossing.
Oh, God.
Twerking.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no. Him flossing, and then you got, like, the guys from Some More News twerking.
Yeah, we should start doing that. We should start doing TikToks of us dancing awkwardly, talking about woo-woo shit.
No fucking way.
Oh, no, you're no fun.
I know. So
I'll do it.
Of course you would.
Give me enough rum and I'll do it.
I know. So,
oh, man.
Xinyun was founded by, let me get this right, Li Hongji.
Yeah, sounds right.
Shortly after the Tiananmen Square protests. Now, apparently, after the Tiananmen Square protests, the Chinese government required all social groups to register with them to cut down on possible future protests.
Fuck your chess club.
Yep. Now, Li Hongji is sort of a divine figure to the movement. He reminds me a little bit of Shoko Asahara from Aum Shinrikyo, because, like Shoko, he can levitate and walk through walls and predict various apocalypses.
Guys, I can't wait to become an X-Man when I start our cult.
Dude, yeah, they always like have the same shit. We could come up with our own things. Like when we bring up create our own cult, I'm gonna say I could like transmute matter into gold and like
But only for a second.
and like, move the stars and moon with my mind. I don't know. Anything. You do anything, and they're just going for levitation
yep.
and walking through walls.
I can fart on Thursdays.
Kevin, you fart on any day ending in Y.
And
Shit.
I'll just be Goldball, the X-Man who makes gold balls.
Oh, fuck that guy. I don't care if they did turn him into eggs.
Ooh. But with a touch, you transmute anything into Ferrero Rocher.
Ooh,
Oh.
Dude, you would never leave my side.
Kevin would die of his beaties.
The beatus. All right.
Poop beaver nuggets.
Mike.
God, no, I'm not eating beaver nugget poops.
Mike and David just connected ass to mouth.
Oh, no, I would not want to see how those nuggets are made. Oh, I think I'm done with beaver nuggets now.
I don't think you are.
No, I'm not.
So,
as long as I don't think about that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So Falun Gong took off really hard in China and became massive very quickly. Like, so massive, the government became extremely worried that people were going to be more loyal to the cult than to the party.
Capital P party.
Yes, capital P party. I've got that in the notes.
Yeah.
So they also had like major thousands of people protest in Tiananmen Square again from the cult.
Ooh.
So they outlawed the cult and they issued an arrest warrant for Lee, but he'd already buggered off to Queens.
Smart one, that guy.
Yeah.
Is this the Chinese remake of Coming to America all of a sudden?
You know,
Almost.
it kind of is, isn't it?
Sexual chocolates.
Oh, God. Now, while still existing in China, they are heavily persecuted for their anti-communist stance and their celebration of Chinese history.
Which is funny because the Chinese Communist Party likes to emphasize certain elements of their history, like the kung fu.
Oh yeah, no, they're big on that.
What's that? The not the kung fu exactly, but what's the exercise one? That's
Tai Chi?
Tai Chi?
Yeah, Tai Chi. They like to,
Oh yeah, but they want to make it secular.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
But
Secular
yeah, I mean,
religion.
who isn't persecuted in China?
That's fair.
The CCP's members are being tracked by an authoritarian network of social scores. You're not special, Falun Gong.
Okay, that's fair, but how far away from being that?
Yeah, not too far, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, imagine us in China. God, we would be, like, persecuted for all kinds of shit.
Oh, they'd have my nuts in a vice. So, Falun Gong's practices mostly consist of, like, meditation, yoga, and dancing to transcend the limits of the physical world and expand the mind. Most of their beliefs are copy-pasted from Buddhism, except they are encouraged to enter society to spread their ways. Like dirty Christians.
I was going to say, isn't that the Krishnas?
The Hare Krishnas?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, they're all kind of similar in a way.
Yeah.
Because if it were all dancing and love, I don't think there'd be a problem here in the West. But it's not.
But to go after gay icon Karl Marx, that just does not fly.
God, I really want a shirt of gay icon Karl Marx now.
We can make it happen.
I know. We're graphic designers, and we've got a store. So, Lee's teachings are ultra-right-wing. He is anti-homosexual. He is anti-feminist. He is anti-science.
Boo.
He is anti-progress. He is essentially a Republican Luddite in everything but name. Now, one statement in particular I got is, quote, that homosexuality.
Homosexuality.
That homosexuality makes one unworthy of being human, creates bad karma, and is comparable to organized crime.
Fuck.
He also taught that disgusting homosexuality shows the dirty, abnormal psychology of the gay who has lost his ability of reasoning.
Gay madness.
This sounds like someone who's desperately trying to repress their attraction to men.
Oh, dude, if you gave him just enough drugs to let him off the chain, he will be all over every dick in the room.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But like it's
just
when you
seems like
deny it, you apparently turn into this.
the people that it just seems like the people that try to deny themselves the most turn out this way.
Yeah. So it gets worse. He also says that when the gods come back, homosexuals will be the first to be obliterated. So yeah, real fun guy in charge of the dancing cult.
Get rid of all the dolphins and a lot of primates because
Yep, everything fucks and it's gay. So they also believe that we're in the quote Fa reclamation, which sounds like something Vince Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer, would talk about. But this is the moral degradation period before the world is brought back to the righteous path for those that survive.
So they're in their Revelation / Mark of the Beast era. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so they're just waiting for the rapture any day now.
Yeah, no, they're totally against the idea of and Mark of the Beast. They're kind of like the Family International. Barcode's bad. Department stores bad. All that stuff. So Falun Dafa, which sounds like a town in the Borderlands from the Wheel of Time,
or a Star Trek
Star Wars character.
No, Star Trek. He's like a what's that guy? Cardassian.
Oh yeah. Okay. Anyway, Falun Dafa uses Shinyun as a PR branch to sugarcoat their nasty ass beliefs and instruct its followers and the Shinyun troops to downplay most of their teachings to the public to attract more followers. Now, this is a typical cult tactic. You lure people in with peace and love, and then you hit them with the hate and the loathing.
And if you think that's bad, just wait till you hear what Cirque du Soleil believes.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's not just all, sexy tight leotards with provocative bulges.
I watched a Cirque du Soleil show on a Laserdisc on our friend's stream one time, and it's actually kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
So they always go that way. Like, what if cult, but you don't have the bad shit?
Oh, you mean like Upright Citizens Brigade?
Cult.
I said like the Upright Citizens Brigade.
But no bad shit, just better shit. Like once you get past the secret door, you find there's even better things.
It's full of candy.
There's puppies and kittens.
Holy shit, they got a foosball table.
Yeah.
Holy shit, air hockey.
A secret arcade that's all free play.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Now see, you're talking about the Burger King Kids Club.
Yeah.
God damn it. They were a cult. Anyway, so Shinyun is not their only immediate presence. They also run the Epoch Times, which is an international ultra-conservative newspaper thing. Have you guys ever heard of the Epoch Times?
Yep.
I had no idea. I knew it was very conservative, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I've run across it a few times, both IRL at the laundromat I used to go to and online from some of the less savory places I visited for this fucking show. It preaches the hard line on conservative issues like racism, fundamentalism, homophobia, and anti-communism.
We should have our own reply to this.
We should. It also promotes QAnon, anti-vax theories, and during the 2016 election, it came out swinging hard for Donald Trump.
Big Dick Don.
Big Dick Don. Right in the ass of America. In a cup. So, now, why am I telling you all this?
To make us suffer?
Close, because it's still active. And it's
Of course
far-reaching, and for Christ's sake, do not let your parents go to Shinyun shows.
Well, that's easy for me, but
yeah, same here. I know they already watch Fox News. I know that, but we don't need a fancy version of the Lawrence Welk show spreading this shit under the guise of art. I don't want Lawrence Welk weaponized.
Imagine going to Riverdance and realizing that they Morse tap dance out the instructions on how to build a car bomb.
That'd be fucking... Well, oh, God. Man, dude, you're talking about the troubles.
Yeah.
All right, so final thoughts. Guys, what are our thoughts on cults? Cults in general. Have we got any experiences with cults? Let's talk about it.
We could have called this episode Mixed Nuts.
I noticed that, and I'm mad at you for not telling me that until it's already been named. Mike, sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead, David. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, yeah, I think every one of us has some experience. Like, it also kind of depends on how you define a cult, but, like, we have experiences. So one thing that I didn't mention is I think I've seen Jesus Christ Lightning Amen.
Really?
Yeah, because, I've lived here in Hemet for a long time.
Did he appear over your bed?
No, thank God.
He climbed in through the bathroom
thank Lightning
window.
Amen. But no, like, he's a very distinctive figure. I was looking at photos, and I know that I've seen some of the, like, Christ family in my youth.
You know, I thought that myself, but then I realized he just looked like one of the Duck Dynasty guys.
a little bit.
With a diaper on his head.
But, you know, I think we all have, you know, again, it depends on how you define a cult. Like, Mormonism, is it a cult?
My sister was there, and having been to a Mormon church a couple times, it kind of is. Yeah, I mean, the praying thing is creepy.
My wife would define it as a cult for sure, and she has her reasons. And
Sure.
so sometimes you end up marrying someone who is in a cult.
Yeah, it's not the worst cult, but it's a cult.
And there's a lot of cults too that kind of fly under the radar because you don't think about them. Like there's a lot of sects of Christianity that are very culty.
Salvation Army.
Yeah, and just so like I remember Kevin wants me to tell this story. So I will.
Yes.
When we were in high school, there was a assembly, like a mandatory assembly. All the kids are gathered in the auditorium.
And Mike, I think you were right before. I don't think I was at Wingfield at that point. I don't know. I just remember your uncle being there, but continue.
So in this assembly, there's like some choral music. It's introduced as a group from Alabama, like the Birmingham area, central Alabama. And I don't think they mentioned it being part of a church or anything. They just said, they were just touring. And so they sung a bunch of songs like, choir
Life
style.
is a Highway.
Yeah. They were popular songs. There were, no religion to be seen or anywhere in the main presentation. So I was like, but I saw someone in there and I knew some kids from Alabama because my parents had friends there and we'd visit them, once or twice a year. But that was, pretty much before high school. So I saw, a girl there that looked a lot like someone I remembered. So I was like, fuck. So there was no, in the school assembly, there was no way to, go up and, try to find out. But they said they were having another show. Like, I don't know, I don't think it was that night, but maybe the next night or something. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there and see if that's her. And I was so stunned by the complete 180 of the messaging. Like I said, it seemed very secular and stuff during the daytime, but the night show, that was, voluntary to go to was just super, Jesus, religion, Jesus, save Jesus. I'm just sitting there just kind of horrified.
And I got dragged to this, by the way.
Yeah, I brought Kevin to that. And it was so uncomfortable. I'm not a religious person. At the time, I was definitely not. And even Kevin, who was.
I was religious at the time.
And he was uncomfortable. It was,
oh yeah, dude.
It wasn't a full blown cult, but it had a lot of trappings of cultism. They were doing witnessing and shit.
Oh yeah. Well, we went out in the hallway, and Mike's uncle was there on his knees being saved.
So I have to say that I have an uncle that's like less, or is he a year older than
He's
me?
a year old. He was a grade ahead of you in school.
he was basically Kevin in Kevin's class.
Yeah, he's my age.
And so, he I don't remember him being there. Kevin swears he was there. I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that when
Maybe
I went...
Kevin was so shocked that he didn't tell me he was there.
Yeah, no, we left the thing. I was like uncomfortable. I was like, we got to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to join a cult. And I look over and there's...
Nope. Cut that.
Sorry.
Don't use
I'm
his
going to
name.
beep that. But there's Mike's uncle. And I'm like, oh no, we got to get...
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, oh God, that, no.
Yeah, and so I did not discover it if it was the person I thought it was.
Like, you remember that group, the Power Team, that would go around to schools and do all these feats of strength?
Oh, yeah,
and
they
say
came...
it was through the power of God?
Yeah, they came to our school, too.
Yeah. It was like that, but gay.
It was like but choral music.
We had like the Duncan Yo-Yo Company show up and like try to sell us yo-yos.
Oh God, you had like every Simpsons joke.
Yeah.
Every group that showed up at Lisa's school went to your school. See, we had the Power Team, and then I remember we had this one dude that came in, and like he was supposed, and I don't know how they got away with this, but they had this dude come in, and he was like singing and talking about Jesus, like during an assembly. And like he did a song and then started talking, and we were like, oh, thank God the song's over. And then he started playing music, and the whole school just starts going, no! And he's like, oh, you don't want a song? And he looked real hurt, and we were like, no! And he turned off. Okay, well, let's just talk then. And like you could just see his soul crushed.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm really proud of that.
So I think, some of these assemblies were, before, like there was a big rigmarole about, religious things in school.
Yeah, it was like after we graduated, it became a big deal.
Well, no, even before at least, before I graduated, there was, they were trying to like do prayers in school, and, there was a lot of...
Yeah. I remember I had several teachers in junior high that were like, all right, we're going to do a prayer.
So, but, the choral music one I was telling the story about, like I said, they didn't touch, religion at all during the day assembly.
Yeah, but at night, but the fangs came out.
And we did have the Power Team, but I think they also had secular washed it by then.
When I saw the Power Team at Wingfield, they were straight up talking about through the power of Jesus and the Holy Spirit.
But I think they also did the thing where they did a night show where you could come see them, and then they would do the whole religious thing. I was
an office worker at that point, and like I wasn't in the assembly, but I was in the office across from the auditorium, and I got to hear it. And like because dude blew up a hot water bottle and it exploded. Yeah, I was like, I wish it had been your lungs. But anyway. So, cults are dangerous. It's kind of on you to be really aware of people manipulating you. But remember, if you do get manipulated, it is never too late to back the fuck out.
Problem is,
And remember, there is only one good cult. And that is the cult of Troma Films, the creators of films such as Romeo and Juliet.
No, the only good cult...
Shakespeare's Shitstorm.
Fuck you. The only good cult is the cult of Chucky.
No. The only good cult is the one we found. So come to our cult. We have a secret room with free play arcade games.
Yes, join the Crustationists.
As long as the religious texts are Troma Films, we're good.
The religious
I'll
text...
sign off on it.
The religious text is actually the menu from a Red Lobster.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly Discordian of you.
I would say the menu from a Waffle House.
Ooh, wait, no, this isn't Fight Club, Mike.
Complete with blood splatters on it from the fight in which you stole it.
Actually, I've never been in a Waffle House when a fight happened.
Well, if I come over to your guys' area, we're gonna have to make sure that happens.
Oh, well, fuck no.
Even if we have to fight each other.
Here's the key. You go to a fairly seedy looking Waffle House,
Like in
you go
Vicksburg.
on a
Like
Friday.
every Waffle House.
Yeah.
No, there's some good ones.
On a
Oh, okay.
Friday or Saturday night when the bars have, and after like 3 a.m. when the bars have like forced everybody out. So they're good and liquored up
And angry.
and angry because they
Yeah.
got cut off.
Yep. So join the Waffle House cult. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about cults. We'll do another one when we find some other interesting ones. You know, may do some focused ones. We'll see.
Maybe
It was nice to dive into true crime, just a
A
smidgen.
scotch.
some.
A scotch.
I keep having the In Living Color Cult of Personality song. Cult
That's
of
a
Personality.
goddamn good song.
That's
That
a
was
good
a
song,
great
yes.
band. So, thank you everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. If you want to learn anything about the show, you can head over to supernatpod.rocks. That is supernatpod.rocks. You will find links to our Discord, our Patreon, our blog, information about the zines, how to contact us.
How to get in our cult.
Yeah, not yet. Advertising
Eventually.
information, all that fun stuff. And you can find us on the social media at, what is it? Mastodon, at SuperNetPod, at weirdo.network. And I believe we're on Blue Sky. David, aren't you in charge of that
Not
account?
yet.
Not
I haven't done it yet. I'm
We
sorry.
will
I've just
be.
been posting shit.
It's fine. We'll get there. And yeah, thank you for everything. If you guys want to, see the show grow, tell someone about it. Tell them you like it or you don't like it.
Just don't act like it's a cult or anything. We're
Not
you know,
yet.
we're-
Not yet.
Not
We'll
yet,
get
not
that
yet.
page up. So again, thank you for listening. Before we go, David, have you got any plugs?
No. Just if you want to draw a cryptid or write a story about a cryptid or an encounter you had, please go ahead and check out supernatpod.rocks/zines. And you know what? If you have experience with a cult and you'd like to tell us about it for us to talk about on the show,
Yeah.
send us an email at team@supernaturalselectionpod.com.
Yep. And Mike, have you got any plugs?
So we have this cult we're starting.
God damn it, not yet. We gotta get the page up.
Go to supernatcult.sexy.
All right, gotta get that URL now. All right. Well, thanks again for listening. We will see you next week with a Weekend Weird. So until then, stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye. I want Waffle House now.
So we're going to have a bunker, and we're going to have a garage,
And a combine, and a backhoe, and a fire truck, and a machine gun, and a hooker.
and a shooting range, and
This is sounding very David
a
Koresh.
petting zoo.
Ooh, I like that.
I didn't even mention the Waco connections with the Christ family. I'll mention that.
Yeah, bring
I'll
it-
mention that.
yeah.
On,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.